Making the Wheel of Theodorus is a fun project and actually quite easy to do. First, you can start by taking your index card and your ruler and placing the ruler along the bottom length of the index card. You're going to measure 1 inch and mark this on the card. You're also going to measure 1 inch up the card. So I'm going to rotate my ruler. And measure 1 inch here. And the index card is really going to be your most important piece in this entire process. You're going to use the index card to trace an isosceles right triangle that has legs of 1 inch each. Now, since we've marked off an inch on both the width and length of the index card, this will be quite easy. You take your pen or pencil and you're going to trace from the corner 1 inch to the right and 1 inch up. Now, we are assuming that the index card is cut correctly, meaning that there is a 90-degree angle formed at the corner of the index card. It gives us a natural right angle, which is helpful in this case. Once you've done this, you can pull your index card away, and you should have 2 line segments, each measuring 1 inch. They're going to form the first triangle in your spiral, and we're going to do so by connecting the legs to form a hypotenuse. This is your first hypotenuse in your right triangle spiral. Before we go any further, we're going to mark or indicate that this leg measures 1 unit. This leg also measures 1 unit. Now the hypotenuse is a different story. We're going to have to use the Pythagorean theorem to help us determine the length of the hypotenuse. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. For our first triangle, we would square each leg being 1. 1 squared plus 1 squared would give us 1 plus 1. We're going to represent the hypotenuse with the variable x. So we have 2 is equal to x squared. So the length of the hypotenuse is the square root of 2. Of course, this is an irrational number. We're not going to approximate this number. It is approximately 1.4. We're going to leave it as the square root of 2. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that as our label for that hypotenuse. And there you have it. Our first triangle in our right triangle spiral is a 1 by 1 by radical 2 right triangle. Now this first hypotenuse is going to be real important because it's going to be the leg of your second triangle. To draw your second triangle, you're going to take your index card and rotate it until you can get the index card parallel, the width of the index card parallel to the first hypotenuse. Mine looks pretty good here, so I'm going to go ahead and straighten it up so that the corner of the index card meets right at this point here with that first right triangle. So it should be essentially lying on top of it, or as close as possible. You're going to take your pen or pencil and trace along the bottom of the index card, just like this, until you get to your mark. Your mark, of course, is 1 inch. Once you trace, you can pull the index card away, and you have your next leg. We know it's 1 inch because we marked off 1 inch on the index card earlier. So we're going to label it as 1. We also know that this angle down here, since we're assuming the index card was cut correctly, is a right angle. So we're going to go ahead and mark that this is a right angle. That would mean that this hypotenuse of the first triangle is now the leg of the second triangle. So we have a leg and a leg. What are we missing? Of course, a hypotenuse. So we're going to go back and we're going to connect these 2 points to form the hypotenuse of the second triangle. As you can see, our spiral is coming along quite nicely. We now have 2 right triangles. We have a 1, 1, radical 2. And we have a radical 2, 1, and we're going to need to determine the length of this second hypotenuse. Now this one's a little more difficult because one of the legs here is a radical. Let's take a look at how we would. So for our second triangle, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem once again. We need to square the legs and set them equal to the square of the hypotenuse. But 1 squared, well, that's an easy one. Here's where things get a little tricky. We have the square root of 2, or radical 2, is the side length of the second leg. We need to square that. Radical 2 squared would give us radical 4, or square root of 4, which is just 2. So we have 1 plus 2 as the sum of the squares of the legs. That gives us 3, which would then tell us that the length of the second hypotenuse is radical 3, or square root of 3. You can go ahead, and we're going to put that onto your paper, marking the length of the second hypotenuse. And let me just do that for you. So we have, and I'm going to do my best to draw a radical symbol. And there you have it. This is the beginnings of your masterpiece. This is the beginnings of the right triangle spiral, known as the Wheel of Theodorus. You're going to continue in this fashion by lining up that index card along the previous hypotenuse and continuing to trace a new right angle, which is a new leg, until you're going to start to see the triangle spiral around in this direction. Have fun. Can't wait to see what your projects look like. This is one of the more creative projects that's been turned in over the past few years. The right triangle spiral in this particular project is used as the hat for Lady Gaga.